All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is October 10th currently, but this is your report for October 9th, 2025. Brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Have that at the end. I am very sorry that I was not able to get out a Crisis Report alert earlier, but I physically was not able to load or do anything on YouTube, on website, on anything. App, didn't matter. So I don't know what that's all about. Eventually got home, got to my wife, finally was able to do things, but not happening, not happening otherwise. So this is a longer report, and we're just going to get her done. We appreciate you being here. Hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell. We're not going to have a lot of analysis. It's a big report because it's a full day one. So we're going to get started right now. Here we go. National Guard troops have started their mission in the greater Chicago area, according to officials in CNN. Israeli army says they're preparing to pull back troops in Gaza as part of a deal. Deal is basically proceeding as hoped. Israel cabinet is going to meet Thursday. They're going to discuss the hostage liberation plan. They have. UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says it has food for entire Gaza for 3 months. Trump agrees to designate Antifa as a foreign terrorist organization. Record flooding in Vietnam. Army deployed to help with recovery efforts. Silver price hit its highest in decades at over $50 an ounce. Trump is expected to visit Jerusalem Sunday. U.S. slaps sanctions on dozens over links to Iran oil. President Trump will host a cabinet meeting at 11 a.m., and it will be televised for the world to see, according to press secretary. Israeli officials told CNN that Prime Minister Netanyahu's far-right coalition partners expected to oppose the Gaza ceasefire agreement in the cabinet vote today, but the deal is still likely to pass. Exactly what happened. Israeli official told CNN that negotiations are still underway over the list of Palestinian prisoners to be released under the ceasefire deal. Issue remains unresolved as Hamas is demanding the release of prisoners that Israel has not yet approved. Clashes are taking place in the Gaza City port area after Hamas operatives attacked the local Abu Warda family. Gazan sources say that 3 Hamas operatives and 2 members of the Abu Warda family killed in the clashes. Dozens of displaced civilians were injured in the crossfire. Details on the Arab prisoners to be released in the Gaza deal will be released. 250 security prisoners. 1,700 residents of the Gaza Strip who were not involved in the events of October 7th arrested after the massacre. 22 minors under the age of 18. Residents of Gaza who were not involved October 7th arrested after. 360 bodies of terrorists. And a security prisoner who was convicted of murder, manufacturing weapons used for murder, or of direct involvement in organizing, sending a terrorist who carried out a deadly terror attack will be released only to the Gaza Strip or abroad and will be banned from entering Israel and the areas of Judea and Samaria. Marwan Barghouti and the bodies of Yahya and Mohammed Sinwar will not be released. Kiev will nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if it sends Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine and helps broker a ceasefire with Russia, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said. Putin's got some thoughts on that. It's coming up in a little bit. CFDs on certificates for delivery. On silver surpassed today for the first time in history, $51 an ounce. It's getting up to the point where someone's going to make a call on this, and they're going to figure out that there's not all the silver that the promises are saying there is. And at that point, it's going to be all double hockey sticks breaking loose. Gold-silver ratio is currently at 80. So let me see. What is the historic? I think it's 50. So ratio 50 to 1 to 80 to 1. 100 to 1 in the 2020s. So ancient times regulated at 15 to 1. 50 to 1 is kind of considered like normal, healthy. So even at 80 to 1, it's jacked up. Egypt, Red Crescent, says 153 aid trucks crossed Rafah border heading to Gaza. Iran welcomes Hamas-Israel ceasefire. Spain's Constitutional Court has annulled 92,278 fines imposed during the Corona L-down, ruling the significant parts of the restrictions were unconstitutional. So I guess having people isolate in their homes and not go out was not constitutional. Who could have saw that coming? 70,000 Discord users may have had their details exposed due to a breach involving a third-party customer service provider. EU has released LG, all the rainbow stuff, equality strategy for 2026 to 30, encouraging self-determination when it comes to who you are, and what you have. Free from age restrictions. We covered this over on PrepperNow. I can assure you that a 12-year-old has no friggin' clue and should be more worried about learning how to read and write and do math than what's going on with her dingus. Netanyahu's press office gave Trump the Nobel Prize. He deserves it, is what they're saying. Let me put this straight out. Netanyahu himself hit the last nail in his coffin, directly striking Qatar. Arab world said it was enough. The moment Israeli missiles hit Qatar soil, Israel lost all remaining narratives it had left in either ending the war or for Netanyahu, ousting and global isolation even from Israel's closest allies. Netanyahu quietly accepted to end the hostilities because basically he was forced to, because he'd screwed things up when it came to the Israel's look on the national scale. Netanyahu was warned by his cabinet and even his military chief of staff that a strike on Qatar was not a viable option. However, he thought it would be a good idea to do it. Hamas leader Mahmoud Mardawi claims victory, says Netanyahu and his government failed to displace our people and recover their prisoners by force. I mean, if I had to say who won, I'd say Israel did, but the fight is still going and will. Massive crowds flocked to the Western Wall following the end of all hostilities between Israel and Hamas. Norwegian Nobel Committee, which awards the prestigious Peace Prize, held its final meeting on Monday. Nobel Institute says, sinking most hopes that President Trump could be named when the winner is announced tomorrow. We'll see. Israel has once again postponed the meeting to approve the ceasefire deal until 8 p.m. All for naught now. It finally got approved. Macron says that Israel's settlement increased existential threats to Palestinian state. Trump says he will award Dr. Ben Carson the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Egypt Sisi tells Trump in a phone call he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Trump is going to travel to Egypt next week, U.S. envoy Wyckoff says. President Trump officially proclaims Monday, October 13th, as Columbus Day. I remember that. Texas AG investigates Discord after it was reportedly used by the hitman who took out Charlie Kirk. Trump says there will be a disarming in the next phase of the Gaza deal. Russia accused Ukraine of blowing up ammonia pipeline. That's getting intense over there. Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says they will vote against Trump's Gaza peace plan. 2 explosions were heard in Kabul. This is the big one tonight. Kabul was getting bombed by Pakistan. Gaza's Hamas chief announces an end of the war today to start permanent ceasefire. A breach of third-party provider Zendesk may have exposed details of 70,000 Discord users, including IDs, emails, support chats. No core systems or passwords were compromised. Discord is notifying affected users and cooperating with authorities. Hamas leader, speaking to Reuters after meetings, the negotiations, he declared an end to the Gaza war. Multiple local media outlets reported that Pakistani aerial strikes in Afghanistan's capital of Kabul. Fighter jet reportedly from the Pakistan Air Force was spotted flying over the skies of Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, just moments ago, according to footage captured by locals. Belgium has thwarted a jihadist terror plot targeting Prime Minister De Wever. Belgian authorities have dismantled a suspected jihadist cell plotting attacks on top politicians, including Prime Minister Bart De Wever, the federal prosecutor's office said Thursday. 3 young suspects, born 2001, 2002, and 2007, were arrested in Antwerp after raids uncovered a homemade explosive device, steel balls, and plans for a drone-borne attack. 2 remain in custody for questioning on charges of attempted terrorist murder and group involvement. Deputy Prime Minister Maxime Prévost called the plot extremely shocking, underscoring Belgium's persistent terror risk amid 80 new cases this year. Threat level stays at serious. Got to see Antwerp this summer. It's a beautiful city. Reminder, Afghanistan's Prime Minister Amir Muttaqi landed in India earlier today for the first time since Taliban takeover. 16 hours later, Pakistan bombed Kabul. United States President Donald Trump, on the signing of the first phase for the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, says last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza. We secured the release of all the remaining hostages. This will be a day of joy. AG Pam Bondi, on the ongoing anti-crime crackdowns in the U.S., says, despite the Democrat shutdown on our government, our law enforcement officers are out there working without paychecks around the clock to keep America safe. POTUS on the subsequent phases of the Gaza deal. Quote, first thing we're doing is getting our hostages back. After that, we'll see. But they've agreed to the things, and I think it's going to move along pretty well. Phase 2 of the deal includes internationalization of Gaza under a mandate, disarming Hamas, Palestinian Joint Operations Room factions, crushing of any and all factions that disobey the agreement, and deployment of peacekeepers under the International Stability Force in Gaza. Translation, more war. Dominion Voting Systems was sold to Liberty Vote, company run by ex-GOP election official Scott Leyendecker, for an undisclosed sum. I'm sure we'll never see any problems in that kind of stuff again. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted over mortgage fraud claims. I'm sure she's totally innocent. U.S. to send about 200 U.S. soldiers to Israel to help support and monitor the ceasefire deal in Gaza. Telegram founder says Germany is persecuting anybody who dares to criticize officials on the internet. Timeline of the Gaza deal implementation after Trump's announcement that Israel and Hamas signed the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire plan. Coming days are going to unfold like this. Thursday, October 9th, signing the ceremony. They met to finalize 72-hour countdown to begin the release of the living hostages in one fell swoop. 24 hours, the IDF will withdraw to the agreed yellow line. That's about 50% plus of Gaza. IDF completes its redeployment of the yellow line. And then Monday, Trump hinted that everyone will return on Monday, arrive in Israel Sunday, and address the Knesset. That's official. Israel will free 1,950 Palestinian prisoners, including 1,700 Gazans, detain 250 Palestinians, life sentences. Deal excludes Hamas's Nukba force members and top commanders like Marwan Barghouti. Monday, all living hostages will be released. Israeli forces redeployed, and the first phase of the Trump plan complete. Hamas publishes, quote, God, let the ceasefire be like the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, followed by the conquest, like the conquest of Mecca. Well, that treaty was a temporary peace agreement signed between Muhammad and the Quraysh tribe, which he later broke before conquering Mecca. Statement implies that Hamas views the ceasefire as a tactical pause before a future victory. 2 important updates from this whole thing. Israel has received American guarantees that it will be able to respond militarily to Hamas violations. In other words, an upgraded Lebanon format. There will be no dull moment. Israel will not withdraw or to the second withdrawal line in Gaza until Hamas is dismantled from its core. This is part of the agreement. So in practice, it will become a kind of Area C in Gaza under Israeli control without enemy nationals. Trump says he's stepping up the pressure to end the war in Ukraine. He suggests that Spain be expelled from NATO because of low defense spending. Speaker of Israel's Knesset has formally invited Trump to address the Knesset. Quote, "It is my profound honor and privilege to officially invite the greatest friend and ally of the Jewish people in modern history." Ali Shamkhani, advisor to Iran's leader Ali Khamenei, said the beginning of the ceasefire in Gaza may be a preparation for ending the ceasefire elsewhere. Someone in Tehran is trembling. Called that one out last night. October 8th, 2025, UNRWA has claimed that there's a famine in Gaza. October 9th, 2025. After Trump announced a ceasefire, they have suddenly said that there's enough food in Gaza for 3 months. Polymarket projects that Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado is set to win the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuela requests an urgent meeting at the UN and the Security Council. Their government requested this Wednesday an urgent meeting of the United Nations Security Council in light of the serious escalation of aggression and unprecedented U.S. military deployment in the Caribbean. He reads the writing on the wall. We're moving out of the Middle East and we're coming to his doorstep, for better or for worse. Qatar is trying to mediate between the United States and Venezuela, fostering dialogue between Trump and Maduro, according to the New York Times. Russia has sent a warning to Ukraine via Turkey that if attacked on the Russian energy and infrastructure do not stop within a week, Russia will begin destroying the entire gas system and storages in Ukraine, as well as begin destroying Ukrainian large industrial enterprises, according to resident, very popular Ukrainian channel. AI bubble is the only thing keeping the U.S. economy together, according to Deutsche Bank. Putin says Netanyahu asked him to convey to Iran that Israel is no longer wanting a conflict with Iran. According to Russian TASS, who quoted Putin, Israel conveyed a message to Iran via Putin that it does not seek conflict and rather prefers to resolve the issues. Yes. Israeli Channel 12 says the United States gave Hamas written guarantees from the United States and mediation that Israel would not relaunch a war on Gaza. Let's hope that this sucker sticks, folks. Okay, seriously. Cosmic Shy, thanks for the $2, and thank you for gifting the membership. Folks, become a member. It's a great way to keep the channel going. Think of it as a news subscription. FBI director on Antifa. We in this FBI will go after the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, funding mechanism. Go get them. The United States has spent at least $31 billion on Israel's wars since October 2023, between $9.65 billion and $12.07 billion on operations against Iran and Yemen alone. Data does not account for the $6 billion worth of additional equipment that the Trump administration is currently seeking approval to send to Israel, and is only an estimate based on publicly available information, not deals made behind closed doors. Oh, this is an awesome one. You're going to love this. South Korean government lost all of its data. All of it. Because it put it all on its servers in one physical location with no backups. G Drive couldn't have a backup system due to its large capacity. 4 people have been arrested. Government worker overseeing efforts to restore the data center, well, they went the Russian way and they've died after jumping from a building. Dumb, dumb, dumb. And good news, Europe. Hot water in Europe may become much more expensive. Yes, hafnium and zirconium, key materials used in the water heaters, have been declared unsafe and removed from the EU's new list of approved substances. Metals were valued for their heat resistance and durability, but switching to alternatives could cost nearly 5 times as much. Experts warn up to 90% of water heaters may disappear from the market, leading to price hikes and worse living conditions. New EU drinking water regulations will come into force in 2027. It is surreal to see the speed and how much effort the EU is putting into making the lives of its citizens as miserable and unpleasant as possible. Key statement right there. It is surreal. See the speed and how much effort the EU is putting into making the lives of its citizens as miserable and unpleasant as possible. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's bad. Thank you, Cosmic Shy. It's bad. So, keep prepping. Maybe you want to go and put your IRA or 401k into precious metals with one of those trusted companies. Well, Augusta Precious Metals partners with the channel, and they're one of the best out there. Better Business Bureau rated, and check them out. Link in the description, do an informational. Other than that, friends, we're going to roll it out right there. God bless you all. Hit that like button, to the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, and we will see you on the next one. Have a great night. More crisis report to come. God bless.